Welcome to round number 4 of the SimRacingPoints.com Sportscar Challenge. I'm joined in the booth tonight by Dean Dicesare here at Hockenheimring, and in time for the 4th race of the season, brought to you by Hard Dicks Hop and Ale and Asphalt Motorsports. Thank you so much for being on board, and thank you so much for joining us in the broadcast booth. Dean, this is a unique German track, a historic German track, new to the iRacing service back in April or March. And these guys, like Red Bull Ring, not a lot of experience at this track in iRacing. Yeah, for sure. It's going to be an exciting race, and we have to start with the championship battle. It's between two teammates to start the year off already. Nick Dicesare leading by 10 points over Matt Koontz, his teammate there. You got Joe Flanagan in 3rd place. He's 6 points ahead of Eric Bergdorf, and then Theo Taylor is in 5th. Reinhard, Watts, Snyder, Lane Allen, and Tony Solari, your top 10. You can see the rest of your favorite drivers down the list there. And Dean, you come into tonight, 14 cars tonight, so a little bit more. We got some returning drivers coming into the race tonight. Mark Royce, who took off about the last 5 months. He's back. Glad to have him back in the fold. Luke Hantanaka, who was very good at Watkins Glen, finished 4th there. He's back in the fold. So it's going to be interesting to see what some of these guys can do. And can we see Josh Wilkie? You know, he's been fast in the last 2 races, Dean. Can he finally get himself to the top step of the podium? Was in the 2nd fastest driver in that practice session behind Nick Dicesare. So we'll have to see how we do. We got Lane Allen on the screen right now in his Crimson Corvette right now doing some laps. I think he is about to start his hot lap here. And Dean, you look around this track, and this is the modern version. This was amended in 2003 for the 2003 season. You used to drive out into the woods right there where Lane is right now. You used to keep going straight there. And the F1 drivers would get over 200 miles an hour. And some crazy stuff happened in the woods, apparently, and they decided to go with this layout. And it's been fun. It's been great for DTM, great for sports cars. But what a unique challenge for these guys out here tonight. Luke Hantanaka going quickest after lap 1. These guys have 4 laps or 10 minutes to get their laps in. We're joined also by Brody Hanna tonight. He was in the broadcast booth last week as kind of like our pit reporter. Brody, any news from the pits before the race gets started? For sure, we're on board right now, Luke Hantanaka, but Josh Wilkie, the Canadian, up on top of the board now. 1/100th of a second, 17 thousandths actually, is the difference between Wilkie and Hantanaka. His teammate, William Reinhard, there in 3rd. No surprise there, but maybe more surprising, Dean, Dicesare and Koontz, halfway through qualifying, they're 4th and 5th, and they're over a half a second back. We saw Matt. Oh, go ahead. Ready? and we're excited to see how that race is going to turn out. And pit strategy is going to be huge, as it is every single race we run, Dean. But you look at some of these guys. We got looking at Jari Brupascher in that Ferrari, and he's had some tough runs this year, but unfortunately was not able to make it last week. Was participating in the 24 Hours of Spa with GT3 cars, but he was second in Friday night practice, and he is on the lap right now. He has gone green, but no purples for Jari Brupascher, and it looks like he's going to slot into like 137 right now, it looks like. They're using all the curbs, and these curbs can be pretty dangerous as Nick Dicesare goes top of the board with a 137.4, and rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated already for Dicesare. Got Mike Watts out there, Eric Bergdahl. Thanks to Eric and Mark Royce for sponsoring this series and getting it on the Full Throttle TV network. Brought to you by Hard Dick's Hop and Ale, a homebrew by Darren Snyder. Darren, unfortunately, not able to make it tonight. And then also Asphalt Motorsports, part of that sponsorship as well. So thank you to those guys out there tonight. And we go on board Tony Solari in the Porsche. And we got about 3 minutes left, Dean. What are we expecting to see here at Hockenheim tonight?
It's going to drive these temps up a little bit. The track's going to get greasy, going to get slick, and you're right. Tires are going to be a big factor, I think, in this going forward.
It's going to be exciting, and we are going to have all the action. But for now, rise and raise your hats for the national anthem as performed by Alyssa Shipman.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the lands of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, we're back live here at Hockenheimring as qualifying has about 30 seconds to go here. Nick Dicesare, Dean, he is the only guy on pit road. He's got the pole, and he's still wanting more out there.
He can't get enough. I think this is smart. I think everybody should be on the track to the last minutes, getting in some practice time, little familiarity here, and Dicesare is looking good out there. But bit like we talked about, Jared, there's a little grouping going on, top four, then like the next three, and then another three, so there's going to be some group racing here, going to be highly entertaining.
It sure is, and these guys are lining up on the grid. So let's take a look and see how your drivers are going to line up. Let's start from the top. We got Nick Dicesare on pole, a 1/10 of a second advantage over Josh Wilkie in the hometown Heroes Porsche. Row number 2, Dean, is going to be William Reinhard and Luke Hantanaka, Matt Koontz and Joe Flanagan in row number 3, and rounding out your top 4 rows, James Treadler and Eric Bergman.
Yeah, row 5 going to bring in Mike Watts and Lane Allen. Dana Herron starts 11th with Tony Solari in the 12th spot. And Yari Brewpatcher will start 13th with Mark Royce rounding out the field.
A little bit surprising, Gene, that Yari Brewpatcher didn't get a good lap in. He only got 1 lap in and totaled that Ferrari, and look for him to do good. So we look at our race information. These guys getting lined up. Hockenheim, it is about 3 miles, a little less than 3 miles. It is going to be a not much altitude change, but there is a little bit, 327 feet. Temperature right now 71 degrees. Track temp 90 degrees. It'll continue to go up as this race is starting at 1 p.m. and is on a 2x sun here tonight. And we are expecting at least 2 pit stops, so it should be entertaining.
Yeah, it should. The 2 pit stop thing is going, and I want to put a challenge out to you, Jared. I got a good one for you tonight. I'm not sure it's fair, but I'm looking in on the 3rd place car, William Reinhard, and I'm not sure that that's a familiar looking paint job.
William Reinhard in that Ford.
He's in a Porsche tonight, I believe.
No, that's Luke Hantanaka.
Oh, is that Hantanaka? Okay, but on my screen, I apologize. Just trying to have a little fun with you here with the paint job. I don't think that's anybody's out there. Pretty sharp looking paint though.
Got a lot of them out here, and these guys are going to do this half pace lap here around Hockenheim through the arena section. This part of the track has not changed since the reconfiguration in 2003, and a very excellent section. Unfortunately, Hockenheim hasn't had the attendance in the past few years, but this used to be extremely loud, especially when Michael Schumacher used to go through here. Still very cool. And this section, if you guys watch Formula 1 at home, this is where Hülkenberg went off the track as the pace car is about to go onto the pit road. And Nick Dicesare and Josh Wilkie will lead them down to start the 90 minutes of Germany. A little bit slow on the green light there, and the light still isn't out. There it goes, green flag, and we are down and away into turn 1. Dicesare will lead him in.
Yeah, Hantanaka got checked there a little bit, and he's got trouble on the inside of him. He's way out wide. I think he's going to hold that spot for now, though.
Joe Flanagan slots into 5th, followed by Eric Bergdorf, Lane Allen, and Matt Koontz has gotten overtaken already. James Treadler up the inside of Lane Allen. Mike Watts on the outside going into turn number 2, down the long straightaway. Big passing zone right here. And somebody got off the track. It's Lane Allen.
Lane Allen has crashed.
And hard. That front clip is gone on that Corvette.
You know, I was going to mention, guys, before we got started there, that, with the clean track, no rubber on the track, it's going to be a little bit different than what these guys are used to. And I think it may have bit Lane there.
It did. He just self-spun out there off the corner. I think he was a little rattled early on the corner before, kind of under braking. He could see him release the brakes out of fear of getting hit in the rear.
We got another wreck. This time it's James Treadler.
Yeah, James Treadler, and he is backwards on the track. There was somebody coming down there. That was Lane Allen. And we'll have to take a look and see what all this first lap is. Mark Royce is now off the track. We've got all kinds of stuff going on.
My goodness, what's happening out here? Just noticed Treadler must be teammates with Hantanaka. Same paint job out there tonight.
Dicesare just now coming around to complete lap number 1. And we already have several things happening. Here, Josh Wilkie right on the back, and pretty solid, though, for the first lap, except for a couple of off tracks. Let's take a look at Lane Allen first and see what happened to that number 14 Corvette. And you see what Brody Hanna was talking about there. Treadler with a great move down into turn number 2 there. And Lane Allen managed to hold him off, and he just gets on the rumble strip there, and the car just went around. And likely that car is going to have significant damage repairs there.
And my goodness, well, you're looking at that Hantanaka all over the rear end of Reinhard. I don't think I've seen a car ever that close to someone without contact. He is really pushing it late on braking, and you can see Reinhard locking it up, Hantanaka to the outside.
Yeah,
That's really good racing.
Oh, go ahead, Brett.
I was just going to say, some really good racing. It looks like he did lock it up getting in the corner there. And Hantanaka looked to the outside trying to make some speed around him as well.
Joe Flanagan also right in this mix, but we looked at the other wreck. James Treadler just got locked it up under braking. Rear end got around. Same thing happened to Mark Royce. Those guys still out there and going, and they will have plenty of time. Lane Allen actually did not pit. I don't know if he realizes he's missing the front clip. I don't know if he cares, but he's doing a good job holding on to that machine, but battling all over the place. And these guys are doing a great job here in the top four, Dean. And this is exactly what you talked about at the beginning. You kind of have a couple levels in this race. The top four, then the next four, then the next four, and then the next four.
Absolutely. And also we're having something we talked about was these passing zones. They're not creating great passes, but they're creating thrilling entries here. These guys are really going after it, and we're going to have battles all night long by the looks of it.
While that was happening, we had Mike Watts. He kind of got his right sides into the grass, into the arena area.
We went to him, Brody, right when you were talking about him, and he lost it coming out of the last turn in that Ferrari. He has spun it onto the drag strip, trying to get it going again, but
yeah, he actually spun out in the arena earlier, got in the sand, so I'm sure he's got some dirty tires there, and probably spun out again.
So he will drop to the back. And now, Dean, we have some fast drivers at the back of this field right now, as Josh Wilkie has gotten around Dicesare.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Jared, but there was a major battle up front right now, almost 3 wide briefly there.
Action all over the track, but the two Fords battling. Wilkie was able to get around Dicesare to take the lead that lap, Brody, and my goodness, now the two Fords going on top of each other, and Luke Hantanaka is in this group as well.
Yeah, Luke's shown he's got speed. He's been pretty aggressive under braking, like Dean was saying. And so, yeah, I look for him to try to challenge Nick here. But we've had two guys get by Nick Dicesare already. And like you said, Josh Wilkie out front at this point.
Mike Watts has crashed again. Didn't have a chance to take a look at that because we're focused on this battle right now. But he has taken that machine to the pits. Dicesare under intense pressure from Luke Hantanaka in the Porsche. So we got a Porsche, two Fords, and a Porsche up front. And then Joe Flanagan in a Ferrari in fifth. Eric Bergdorf in a Chevrolet in sixth place right now.
That Porsche is looking strong through the corners, Jared. I don't know if he can get it done because he can't get the straightaway speed he needs. But in the corners, under braking, Hantanaka is just looking great out here.
Got 7 drivers, guys, all on the same straightaway. So it's very competitive right now. All the way back to Matt Koontz, kind of all in the same kind of area code right now. Dicesare a little loose through turn number 2, going on the straightaway. But Hantanaka not able to pounce on the hometown heroes drivers of Wilkie and Reinhard, stepping out to a little bit of a lead now.
Yeah, and I told you guys early on, I keep my eye on Reinhard, and he's proving it to be the case. He's starting to close in on his teammate Wilkie here.
I just peeked in on Dana Herron, and he's in a battle with Brupasher, and he's, again, that Porsche, better in cornering, but not down the straights, so it's giving him fits out here.
Brupasher down Spitzker and makes the move out of Spitzker down into Parabolica, and he did a nice job. All these drivers back through here, guys, Brody, they look like they all have been in some skirmishes on the track already.
Yeah, it's been a pretty rough start for some of these guys back here. Got to gather it together. It's a long race. You get in there and get the car fixed a little bit under pit stops and try to make up as much time as possible. When you lose this much track position, though, it's really tough, and it's really easy to get frustrated and lose your focus and end up causing yourself more issues.
And looks like Dana Herron thought he was going to make a move into Mercedes, but decided not to.
Yeah, that's where he had passed Brupasher, and then Brupasher passed him back. These guys are really slugging it out, and it's a tale of 2 different cars out here. I'm really loving the difference between the Ford, the Porsche. You got the Ferrari out here, so it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, all makes are represented tonight except for the BMW. So everybody's out here. 4 of the 5 are out here, I should say, and represented by more than one driver for the first time all season. We have 3 Ferraris, 3 Corvettes, 5 Porsches, and 2 Fords. So a lot of parity in the series as Brupasher and Herron continue to go at it. Right ahead of them is Tony Solari. He's kind of skated away from this group, but unfortunately the top 7 have not really spread apart, but they have kept it together, guys. You look at this, Dean. Matt Koontz 5 seconds back off the lead, and he is in 7th place. Very competitive already in this race so far.
Super competitive. I mean, Koontz doing the same thing he did last week, very patient back here at the back of this 3-man group who are really close to our leaders still. Bergdorf in there, and Flanagan, Joe Flanagan, looking to rebound. I mean, we talked about him last week. I'm almost scared to use the word consistency, Jared, because when we talked about it last week, he had a couple of little minor miscues, if you will.
Yeah, and that
I
was.
tell you what,
Go ahead, bro.
I was just gonna say I'm observing in general these guys are really pushing the limits of the track limits, and honestly,
I talked about it, and there's Flanagan around. I'm sorry.
And Joe
Sorry,
Flanagan,
Joe. I mean, I shouldn't have talked about it.
he has gone off in Mercedes, and he's going to get passed by Tony Solari. Comes out in the track. Thought he was going to hit Dana Aaron. He's going to get that 53 car going, but Brody, as you were saying, Pepto Joe out in the grass, but tough break for him.
yeah, I was just talking about track limits as I could bet him as well. And these guys are pushing right to the edge, and I don't mean penalty wise, I mean track wise. And they're right on the edge of that grass. We've seen it bite a couple guys, but they are right there on the edge of getting into the grass or into the sand or whatever. And you can't do that, lap after lap without maybe making a miscue. And again, we're seeing some of these guys pay the price for it.
Well, Brody, you were talking about tires, and you're also talking about these braking zones and everything. And the leader has gone wide. There's a little Reinhardt's going to make a move down the inside.
And there it is. You see we're on board Nick Dicesare here, and Wilkie is going to have to concede that spot to William Reinhardt going into the entrance of the Mercedes arena there, and that's going to put Dicesare on the back of Wilkie. And Dean, we've seen this out of Wilkie before, very quick, but then he just makes that one error, and then all of a sudden this race kind of goes upside down.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it from him. We've seen it from Reinhardt, too. I mean, it's tough to be up here. To be on the edge like this. And, Brody, that goes back to what I was trying to ask you about. I was going to ask you about pit stop and pit strategy. I mean, it looks to me like tires might be very important tonight.
Yeah, I think tires are going to be important. The thing I'm watching right now is Nick's been really good about saving tires. He was really good on the long runs at Red Bull last week. And I think he's probably sitting back doing the same thing right now, trying to take care of those tires. It wouldn't surprise me to see him take tires only once in the projected 2 pit stops that they have to make here. Some of these other guys may be kind of struggling with that going forward, depending on when they decide to take tires.
So there you
Man,
go.
what racing.
Massive racing right now as these leaders going through the Parabolica right now. It is Reinhardt, Wilkie, Dicesare, Hantanaka. They have opened up about a 4-second lead over Eric Bergdorf and Matt Koontz, who had to lose a little bit of time trying to avoid Joe Flanagan as they head down into Spitzker. And you can see through this corner, Josh Wilkie, a little bit more of a narrow entrance, gets a better run off. Reinhardt was entering a little bit wide.
I think you're seeing the difference in cars, Jared. I mean, those Porsches are just so good through the corner. I know they're supposed to be quite similar, but I don't think they are. These Porsches are really hugging the corner a lot better, but the top speed on the Fords is a little bit better.
We got a big wreck, and it's Joe Flanagan and James Treater. Let's see what happened to those guys. They got together in Spitzker. So James Treadler was making a move, under braking, going through Parabolica here. He's got a run on Joe Flanagan, waits to the last second. No, he's actually staying behind him, and it looks like Jari Brewpascher. Oh no, Flanagan slides it. So actually, neither of those drivers made contact. Just Joe Flanagan got loose again.
Yeah, it looks like those tires, that one spin he had on his tires and the dirty tires he has, that's going to cost him. It's going to continue to get worse and worse until he makes his first pit stop. So I really think as far as the tire strategy goes, Joe's going to be one guy to have to at least take tires on his first stop.
And it seems to me like these cars that have better cornering abilities also is allowing these guys to get deeper in the corner, but it's giving them this chance to get loose because they got more speed through the corner.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to bring up, Dean, because these drivers, it is a little bit different. We got a little bit battle of a lead there. Wilkie locks it up. Spitzker has been the corner tonight. That's where all the action's really been happening. And Wilkie tried to drive it down in there and just couldn't quite get down in there. And Reinhardt's going to hold over the lead.
Yeah, he had a look there. He looked on the inside and kind of faked his teammate out a little bit there and still locked it up. But But you're right. As far as the Porsches go, they're better in these corners, and I think it's paying off for them. But now this Ford's got some pretty good straight line speed for sure.
Continue to look at this battle. The top 4 drivers, unbelievably, are still within about 2 seconds of each other. Reinhard and Wilkie from Hometown Heroes, they're leading. Dicesare and Hantanaka in the second group. Then we have Bergdorf and Koontz. They've dropped off the back just a little bit. Koontz is just kind of waiting around and just kind of being patient. Dean, we saw this last week at Red Bull Ring Salzburg. He seems to be doing the same thing again tonight.
Yeah, I like what I'm seeing out of Koontz. I mean, he doesn't have as much experience here and is patient. Not only that, Brody keeps talking about tires. He's saving these tires. Koontz will come forward at some point. It's way too early as we're only 13 minutes into an hour-and-a-half race.
Yeah, and I was watching the leaders. It's funny to see these guys when they're running close together, especially 2 different cars. You see different tendencies. You see Reinhardt using all the track, every bit of the track, and maybe a little more at some points. And you got Josh Wilkie, who's pretty much keeping it between the curbs. He's kind of staying on track and staying a little tighter. As we're going to have a battle for the lead here now.
Yeah, what a move by Josh Wilkie. Reinhardt locks it up. Again, Spitzker has been the corner of the night going into the Mercedes arena, and Wilkie's going to retake the lead over William Reinhardt's team.
Wilkie, that's superior handling there. He just so much more shallow through the corners, really giving him. And I think he's got the experience now after, 5 or 10 laps here. I think you're going to see him pull away a little bit, at least for a while.
You got a battle for third, too, back here. Luke Hantanaka is looking on Nick Dicesare here. He's caught him. And again, that's a Porsche catching a Ford. So, Dean, you're probably right here.
I just think it's such an advantage. You watch them, Jared. There's just so much more shallow in some of these corners where it's so advantageous to keep all 4 tires on the track.
And we're looking at the rear of that Ford of Nick Dicesare, the Connecticut driver, doing everything he can. Did a great run through the arena section and was able to hold on to that position. Jared Brupascher has gone off track, and looks like he's got that Ferrari refired as the Swiss native drops down to 10th position on the grid right now. Dana Herron is all over the back of Tony Solari. That's a battle for 7th as well. And that's 2 Porsches, so a little bit different action than what we've seen in the rest of the field so far between these 2 Porsches.
Yeah, we might see a little carnage here. We put 2 Porsches together, and we'll see a little lockup out of Solari that's going to bring Herron right into this.
Down through Parabolica, and Herron's going to have the run down this turn into Spitzker. And we've seen this has been the passing area down here in turn number 7. And Tony Solari actually looks like he actually pulled out a little bit of a gap on the straightaway. Herron is going to look down into Spitzker, under braking, and he locks it up, and he's going to go well wide. Solari's going to maintain the spot.
That's going to bring Treadler up into the mix here. Not quite, but I mean, he gets a little bit closer.
James Treadler making his season debut, the California driver. He is going to be there, and then don't look now, but behind them is the 2 Ferrari drivers, Brupascher and Flanagan. Flanagan all over the back of Yari, and Pepto Joe trying to gain some of those spots back that he lost earlier.
Man, oh man, I'm so looking forward to pit stops here, Jared, because I don't know what they're going to do, but I think maybe for the first time this season, both pit stops, you get tires.
We'll definitely have all that information if we have it available. Lane Allen, I'm impressed, Brody, with Lane Allen. No front clip on this car, and he's still turning lap times in the 137s. Not bad lap times at all.
Yeah, and that's, you were talking about pit stops. If you're back there like Lane is right now, you got to be thinking some kind of an all strategy or something to get you back in contention here. It wouldn't surprise me if Lane tries to pull something out of his hat to try to get back into some form of contention for maybe racing with Flanagan and Brupascher right now. They got a pretty good battle going on.
Flanagan and Brupascher side by side coming through the Einhard Parabolica, down the straightaway Parabolica, and Flanagan trying to get a toe down this corner into Spitzker. Will we see some more locking under braking?
He's going to try to look on the inside here. He's making a look. He's going to try to get there.
Flanagan under braking. And what a move by Joe Flanagan. Move him up. Brewpasher battling back on the outside.
I was going to say, he already said not so quick. He got that good run off the corner and was able to retake that position.
Drivers getting loose through the Mercedes arena here. Brewpasher hard on the brakes. A lot of runoff at Hockenheim, and Flanagan making a move. I didn't see that coming. What a move it is.
He already went wide there. He got in there a little too hot, went wide, and opened the door for Joe. Joe's going to take that position.
Dean, I think that's some of the most aggressive driving I've seen from Joe this season so far. Back up a little bit further front, 7th and 8th, Dana Herron and Tony Solari made a little bit of contact. Nothing major, but that's brought James Treadler to the mix, Dean.
Yeah, Treadler back in the mix in this battle. And you're right, Flanagan was being pretty aggressive there, and it's something you don't often see from him, but good for him. I mean, you've got to get a little aggressive out here to make moves. That much is evident at this point.
That's 4 Porsches in a row, if you count Matt Koontz. So Koontz, Solari, Herron, Treadler, all Porsches there. Back up front, it's been Josh Wilkie. He's still getting stocked by William Reinhard. Nick Dicesare is still getting stocked by Luke Antonaka, and Eric Bergdorf is still being stocked by Matt Koontz. So we have 3 battles of 2 in the top 6 right now, and then a battle of 3 for 7.
Well, guys, we're about 11 minutes away from the 30-minute mark. This being an hour-and-a-half race, that's going to be the first.
Sorry, cars off. Treadler, Herron, both off the track.
See that?
They're back on.
So this has been the action spot tonight, guys. Spitzker up here, and you're going to see Tony Solari at the very front of this group. Then you have Herron and Treadler down on the braking. Nothing bad. Oh, Treadler just didn't get it slowed down. Just didn't stop, and he got in the back end of Dana Herron. But those guys, not much damage, and they're able to keep going.
Yeah, just to follow up, I was saying we're about 10 and a half minutes now from the 30-minute mark, and that's going to break the race into thirds. I know last week we didn't see some of these guys pit till later, about 40 minutes or 45 minutes into the run. But if you're going to break it up in thirds, 30 minutes is kind of your mark. So probably about 10 minutes away from the first pit stops.
Should be interesting to see if we see any strategy, any short pitting, long pitting. We've been having a lacking of short pitting, Jared, and I know you love it. I'm starting to like it more and more all the time, but not many do it.
Yeah, I think it's difficult in these cars because, you have to really plan that out. It's a timed race. It's not like we're racing, 40 laps at Hockenheim. We're racing an hour and a half, and however many laps there is. I think it makes it harder to gamble on an overcut or an undercut strategy in the race. But I hope we'll see it a little bit here tonight as Luke Antonaka, Wadeen, where you were talking, he has gotten around Nick Dicesare for 3rd on the podium.
Yeah, I have to get a look in on that pass and how Luke did that, but good for him. He's been very fast here and perhaps was being held up slightly by Dicesare.
Here's the replay now. This is going into the Mercedes arena here, and Nick Dicesare down on the brakes. This is turn number 8, and just locks it up going into the right there in front of the Mercedes stands, and it was an easy pass for Luke Antonaka.
Gotta say, I'm kind of surprised. I thought Nick would save his tires for a little bit, then make a charge, but he's actually went the opposite direction. He's lost a good bit of time to the 2 leaders, now the 3 leaders. So a little surprised there, but again, it would not surprise me. And guys, don't be surprised if he takes no tires in this race and tries that strategy at this point.
Well, Dean, we've seen Nick Dicesare do that quite a bit in this season, where hasn't taken tires. We've seen some drivers that elect to take tires. And Dean, you were talking about early in the race, you think that both these pit stops, these guys are going to take some tires. Do you still feel that way?
I think it's possible. I think it might be the best play. I mean, a half hour is not that long to try. That much time to try to make up what you lose on pit road. Going to be interesting, but we're seeing a lot of cars get squirrely out here. And if they don't take tires, it's only going to get worse.
And to Dean's point, I mean, we're seeing a lot of lockups as well. That's really going to damage your tires. So, if you're going to stretch the tires like Nick is, I believe Nick may try to do, sliding those tires is not going to do you any favors at all when you're trying to stretch it.
All right, so we're in about 25 minutes into this race, and we have 2 teammates out front, and real quick. Let's see what happened to Yari Brewpasher. Nothing. As a false positive there. He is still going. But you got, you're Josh Wilkie, and you got your teammate William Reinhard. You guys have been swapping the lead. How do you, and I think I probably asked this question a bunch of times, but, Bradine, how do you race when you have your teammate behind you, or if you're the guy chasing your teammate down here?
Well, this early in the race, generally, I mean, you want to stay with your teammate. If you're Reinhardt, you want to stay with Wilkie for sure. Don't let him get away. But you may not want to make a move. Let's just have clean laps. They might be communicating, saying, hey, let's get away. Let's settle this thing later between us. But at some point later in the race, they're going to have to settle it.
Well, if you have an astute eye at the bottom, you'll see our pit road marker come up. And Dean, as you were talking, Matt Koontz has headed into pit road.
So Koontz with the undercut. I love it. This is a huge undercut or an extra pit stop. I'm not sure, Jared, but highly interesting to see Koontz come in.
Very interesting indeed. We do have word Mike Watts has taken his Ferrari to the garage and will be retiring from the race. So unfortunate for Mike Watts, heavy damage on that Ferrari. Brody, you talked about pit strategy earlier. Have you heard anything down there in the pits yet?
No, I was actually headed down there right now to kind of see what's going on. I know we got, like you were talking about, Koontz is in the pits, and that's probably going to drag a lot of people in, but we'll see.
Koontz with a 14.5 on the pit stop. No tires, gas only. Highly interesting here. Must be a 3-stopper.
Well, that's I have to say, that's a pretty short pit stop. It doesn't seem like a full tank of gas if I'm doing my math correctly. That seems pretty quick.
It's interesting. Maybe he thinks a little lesser fuel is going to make that car run better. I don't know. Interesting out of Koontz. He fell to 12th, and he's got a ton of time to make up.
We got some Porsche on Porsche action heading into the Mercedes arena. Solari holding off James Treidler. They brought Dana Herron up in this battle again. So Solari's got a rear wing full of 2 Porsches, and they are all over the back of him. Flanagan also gaining on this group as well.
Yeah, and Treidler and Herron in particular, have been highly aggressive tonight. So Solari's got all he can handle here.
Looking out the rear end of that Porsche, and you see there, Treidler just a little bit deeper on the brakes than Solari, but Solari very good about maintaining his stuff, so maybe there's a method to it. Heading into Einhard Parabolica, Treidler backs down a little bit, and now he's going to get a good run off the corner here, Dean.
Man, Solari a little high there. All 3 of these Porsches right in there. Anybody could make a move at any moment.
And this is bringing Flanagan and Brewpasher up to it. Treidler on the back end of Tony Solari as they head down into Spitzker. This has been the trouble spot all night long. How will this turn out? Treidler on the inside. He's going to get around Solari. No problems there.
Solari doing the professional thing, letting them go. No need to get in an accident at this portion of the race. Great job by Tony Solari, and excellent driving from James Treidler as well.
So move Treidler in the Porsche up to 6th, Solari in the Porsche down to 7th, and Dana Herron still holding on 8th. Flanagan in 9th, Brewpasher in 10th. These guys are coming in, quickly, and you also have Lane Allen that's about 5 seconds behind this battle, still hanging in there somehow with no front clip. On his Chevrolet, and Mark Royce, there must be a curb that they're hitting. He did not crash, so that was a false positive you saw on the screen there.
Hate those false positives, Jared. I keep looking in on Dana Herron as he keeps looking and searching for a way around Tony Solari.
Hey guys, while we're watching this, I did talk to some of the guys down in the pit stops. The 53 is Joe Flanagan. He said he plans to take no tires his first stop. He is not going to take tires and see where his car is. As far as Tony Solari goes, he's also going to be taking no tires on this first stop, fuel only for him. And talking to Lane Allen's group too, he said he's only lost about 4/10 on the straights. It really hasn't affected his cornering speed, which is odd enough because he is missing a front clip and a front hood, which he was unaware of until the team let him know. So there's an update from a couple of guys.
Well, thank you, Brody. We appreciate that report from the pits. But, Dean, you talked about it. Matt Koontz on pit road early. He was out on pit road at the 24-minute mark. Nobody has called his bluff yet.
No, he's on an island here, and I'm not sure if he just wants to be an open track by himself and this will give him a chance to kind of find a comfort level, maybe make up some time. He's already closing up on Lane Allen, so Koontz, odd call, but it may pay off. We'll see how it plays out.
Still watching this battle. Tony Solari goes off track. Dana Herron's going to go by him. Now Joe Flanagan on the back of that Porsche. And actually, Flanagan got loose, so never mind. They're not battling right now. But we got battles all over the track. Up front, it is still the teammates of Wilkie and Reinhard leading this race right now. Reinhard all over the back of Wilkie as they come onto the front straightaway here. Or no, they're coming on the parabolic. Apologies.
Bergdorf is in.
Eric Bergdorf and his Chevrolet, the Asphalt Motorsports driver on pit road. And what will that team do? And that's going to move James Triedler up into the top 5 now.
Because I am really surprised that this Ford has hung on with this Porsche. I really thought the Porsche, looked faster. It was going to get around and pull off or pull away, and that hasn't happened. Both these two teammates have kind of been matching each other lap for lap here at the front. So it's funny, we usually see somebody stretch it out, but that hasn't happened on this first run.
Yeah, and Tanaka back in third just has not been able to gain any time either. Kind of thought he would come forward a bit, but these two, Wilkie and Reinhardt, shown to be the class of the field right now.
And these guys continue to battle, and it's been interesting as this race has gone on. The double, the pairing off of this race as Tanaka nearly goes off in the Mercedes area, but he does a great job. Very aggressive driving through there to get everything he could get on the track. But he has fallen to about 5.5 seconds behind our race leader. Triedler is in 5th. He's 3 seconds ahead of Dana Herron now. And then we have Tony Solari, who's trying to catch back up to Dana Herron, and Joe Flanagan and Jari Brupascher gaining on him for 7th currently.
Just to follow up on it, you may have said it, Bergdorf did not take tires, so he's another fuel only. So it sounds like everybody's kind of resigned to the fact they're not going to take tires this first run. But I tell you, if you're in the back, you may want to try something different. You may want to try to take tires the first run and leave the tires off the second run just to do something a little bit different, see if you can make some time up.
Koontz has gotten around Lane Allen and Eric Bergdorf. Those guys, Koontz and Bergdorf were tied, were battling for position. Solari is on pit road, and with that pit stop, Matt Koontz has gained 7 seconds on Eric Bergdorf. So there you go. That undercut for Matt Koontz has paid off right now, as we see Tony Solari in his number 74 Porsche on pit road. Koontz goes by.
One thing I want to mention too is these guys were talking about the complexity, not really complexity, but the uniqueness, I guess, of the pit-in road there. As much of a curve as there is, they're especially Lane Allen. These guys are well aware of where the pit entry should be, what you need to do, and make sure not to step over that boundary and get yourself a penalty getting into the pits.
See, Dana Herron just went off wide out of the corner. He's okay. But Herron has been pushing that machine all night long.
Part of the Hometown Heroes Racing. That's not, by the way, Dana's... and he goes off in Mercedes and gets back on the track and doesn't lose time. But Flanagan is going to gain some time there. So is Brupascher on that Porsche. But Hometown Heroes not the first choice. If you remember back, this team used to be called Angry Wife Racing. I think the wife might have got a little angry at that name.
Yeah, I'm sure she did.
I'll tell you what, he is struggling. You talk about Dana Herron. He's really, looks like the front tires have gone away on that car, and he's just really struggling to get the car to turn, especially off the corner.
We're seeing a lot of it out here, Brody, as Joe Flanagan comes in. But, these guys are going really wide in some of these corners. They're not crashing, but they're going wide. I mean, if you look at the off tracks, we've got, a few guys up around the 15 off tracks already. And that's just from going extremely wide. So it's interesting here. The car's not turning. They're not getting tires. I just don't see how it's going to get any better for them.
Yeah,
Especially with that load of fuel. That's one thing I was thinking too, taking fuel only, putting all that weight in the back of the car. It's not going to help. It's only going to hurt you a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly right. And Josh Wilkie continuing to lead here over his teammate Reinhard. 6.5 second gap now to Luke Tanaka and Nick Dicesare. This is not a very Nick Dicesare race, but Dean, we think back to Red Bull Ring, and he kind of got himself in a similar situation. And all of a sudden, after that second pit stop, Nick Dicesare comes through the field. He's up front, and he passes William Reinhard with 7 minutes to go. Is this kind of what Nick Dicesare's game is at this point? Is that what he is now?
I think it is. I think he, I don't want to say about anybody else, but I think Dicesare is the smartest racer in the race. He is saving those tires because he knows he can't get them. He doesn't want to get them. And he's going to make sure that they're good for at least 2 runs, maybe the entire race. He might be the only guy doing that. Other interesting fact that Brody alluded to is Flanagan did take tires, so first guy on that strategy.
Okay, so he did flip. He told me he wasn't taking tires, but he's taking tires.
47.43 was the pit time. So that is about an extra 20 seconds if you take tires. He also, and the other thing too, I noticed that Ferrari doesn't look as bent up as before. It is possible he might have gotten some damage repair to not taking tires as well.
I've seen the jacks go up, Jared, but I'm not sure if that's indicative completely. I'm pretty sure he took tires, though, and Lane Allen is in now.
Yeah, and you could be right. I don't know, but I do think it looks a little bit less beat up as it does before. Lane Allen on pit road, very gingerly, as you see. Mark Royce go around him. Mark went off at the beginning of the race, making his return to the series. He's been working 3rd shift since May, so unfortunately hasn't been able to race, and he is back out there in his asphalt number 50 here tonight as he goes into the Einhardt section of the track. Tony Solari behind him, just coming out of the pits. And Dean, we've seen these races transpire. As these pit stops start going, the race changes. But the other thing I wanted to think about is these guys are all pitting inside 1/3 of the race. I mean, are some of these guys thinking about doing a 3-stopper tonight?
I mean, I don't think you're looking at these guys are pitting on a 2-stopper right now at 34 minutes. They'll be at an hour and 8 minutes when the next stop comes for a guy like Hatanaka, who's in right now.
Yeah, I was looking at Matt Koontz, pitting at 22, and he's off the track in the Mercedes arena, and we'll have to see how that hit happened, but he has got that car under control and does not look like he has hit anything.
Yeah, it looks like he was just pushing the SU, got on the curbs a little bit.
You've seen that last week a lot, Jared. The curbs, you get on those curbs at all, and it'll throw you around.
And that's exactly what happened. As Brody described it, that's what happened, and Koontz able to get that car going, but that's going to cost him some time there as Hatanaka has just came out of the pits. Koontz now 9 seconds behind.
Yeah, you got Dana Herron on the pit road right now as well, looking to see if he's going to take tires or fuel only. Sitting there, looks like he's getting ready to pull out, so I think it's going to be a fuel only stop for Dana as well.
Treadler's on the jack still. He is taking tires.
We'll bring up those pit lane times here, or pit lap, or pit times, apologies. And you'll see there, so right now Treadler in the pits, and you see on board our 2 leaders, the hometown hero racing guys, Wilkie and Reinhard on pit road.
Man, they are nose to tail still on pit road. This could be the decision. I mean, their teammates, they probably talked about it, Brody. I imagine they do the same thing here.
And
Behind him, yeah, you have Dicesare on pit road as well. So all these guys pitting at the same lap.
That's going to leave Yari Brewpasher out there. He's got Luke Hatanaka all over the back end of him. And Luke Hatanaka on those fresh tires, or fresh pit stop, I should say, wanting to get around him on his outlap to get as much time. Yari just wants a lap led probably, or maybe just to get to pit road safely, and Yari is in, and Hatanaka is in. Hatanaka is making a second pit stop. I wonder if he got a penalty in that Porsche.
Oh, contact getting into the pit road too.
And Tanaka must have had a penalty. That is a shame for him. And Wilkie and Reinhardt come out like virtually in sync, same spot, exactly how they entered.
22.6 pit time for Josh Wilkie, 22.3 for Reinhardt. The difference really negligible there. Pit lane time pretty much the same exact. But guess who is in third place? It's Mr. Matt Koontz.
Should we ever question him? I mean, Koontz knows what he's doing. He always proven us wrong out here. just out here on a little country drive, if you will. And he's doing great, man. Up to third. He might have an extra pit stop to make, but he's had nothing but clean track for the last 20 minutes.
And something has happened to Nick Dicesare, Brody. I don't know if you can get a word on it, but 1 minute, 2 seconds in pit road. I didn't see him have any damage. Unless he got damage on entering pit road, but that is an awfully long stop, and I have to imagine he got a penalty for speeding entering the pits.
That's the word, speeding entering. He got a pit speeding penalty on entry, and yeah, that's going to put him back a little ways.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
And Nick Dicesare's had that problem before, but he has dropped from 3rd to 7th place. So Koontz in 3rd now, and Eric Bergdorf, Dean, one of your favorite drivers in the series. He has gained 2.5 seconds on Koontz since the pit stops, and he's continued to knock that gap down.
Yeah, Eric is one of my favorites out here. I love what he is driving. I always love his paint jobs as well. And he's having a nice night. For Eric, it's all about putting a whole race together. You know, he's failed a couple of times to complete what these great races that he's put together. Right now, another one up 4 spots on the night into 4th place.
Brody behind him, Dana Herron being aggressive earlier, but now it's paid off for him a little bit. He's in 5th place, but Tony Solari, a driver you're very familiar with, knocking on the door. That's the real battle on the track besides for our lead.
Yeah, Tony can be very consistent, very stable driver. We saw him have some issues at Red Bull Ring last week. Talking to him, he said he just kind of chalked it up to being a new track. He was still trying to learn the track and try to figure that out. But for a track he's familiar with, and I'm not sure this actually applies to this track either, as it's fairly new. You can kind of expect Tony to be very stable, very consistent, and just kind of I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but very consistent, very
Methodical.
Yeah, methodical race. That's a good way to put it.
I had to come up with something. I'm not sure that's the one you're looking for, Brody.
No, it's not gentlemanly, but it's something around that.
Yeah.
I tell you, right now I'm looking at these pit laps, or the lap they pitted on. What a variety. Koontz on 14, Bergdorf 17, you got 18, 21, 22, lots, and some guys on tires, some guys not. It's almost impossible to keep track of it all, but it's really changing up the dynamic of this race.
See that up there on our scoring pylon, what Dean was talking about there as he read them off. And that's a really good point. But now, like I said before, Dean, Matt Koontz, lap 14, that was at 23 minutes. I don't know if there's enough fuel for him to be able to do just one more stop there.
Well, he just set his fastest lap. So a 136.7, that's the best lap he's ran tonight. I mean, it's quite amazing what Koontz is doing here. He knows something we don't. And Brody, you alluded to the time, I believe, where maybe he didn't take a full tank of fuel.
I think it was Jared, but yeah, I mean, it's a good point. If he didn't take everything he needed, that could be a problem. Or if he did the calculations right to the very, point where he gets just enough to get to where he can pit one more time, then that was a pretty smart move.
And the other thing is Triedler also setting the best lap of the race this last lap.
James Triedler, 136.16. And he is about 8 seconds ahead and behind the drivers he is competing with right now, Dicesare and Flanagan respectively. So kind of in no man's land, but what a lap by Triedler. And he is about 0.05 of a second faster than Reinhard's best lap.
It's interesting because this track temp's at 101 now. It continues to go up, and I actually should be going back down pretty soon at this point. But you see the track temp is going up, and the sun's still out. And, the rubber's going down on the track, and that's probably helping these guys a little bit as well.
Could be a shorter fuel load too, Jared.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Just to show you guys, the weather was 101 track temp, so it is up. It is 1 p.m. here at the track, so something to keep in mind. And it will go down, but it will also probably take a little bit of time to go down as well. But Dean, I think that's a good point. I wonder if what these guys did as far as fuel, but we also have to remember Triedler, one of those drivers on tires.
Yeah, there you go. That's a great point too. That the tires, big factor. Like I said, too much to keep track of, but it's really interesting to see how this is going to play out. We're going to have to wait here now another 10, 20 minutes or more to see how it kind of plays out. But right now, I mean, Triedler, you got to like him with these tires. He's making up a lot of time on the track.
And right now, you got a pretty good battle going on with Tony Solari and Dana Herron there for 5th and 6th place. These guys all over each other as they head to the infamous corner where we've had a lot of passes tried and gone wrong.
Yeah, Spitzker, and here it is. Solari now looking on Dana Herron, and Dana Herron disappearing there. Solari's going to tuck back in behind him.
I wonder if that was a defensive maneuver, just pull a little disappearing act.
Solari's going to make another move heading into the entrance of the Mercedes Arena. Don't look now, Nick Dicesare on the back bumper of these guys. Solari's going to make the move. Herron on the back bumper of him. Now Nick Dicesare's involved.
And this could get ugly here.
Tony locked it up there and ended up over the curbs there. It's going to hurt him all the way through this section. As you see, Dana pull left and let Nick through there.
Yeah, I think he had a bit of a slight braking issue there and just decided to pull over before he got ran over.
Solari's battling with Nick, though. He's not going to have it. He is battling him right through the Mobile One Arena section here and did a good job holding him off in the Porsche.
My God, what racing here. Dicesare, he made a little mistake on pit road, got a penalty, but he's looking to come through these guys.
Guys, I'm liking the aggression level that some of these guys are showing. It's not too much. It's not overly aggressive, but these guys are holding their own and making these guys, like, if you're faster than me, you'll need to find a way by. And it's creating some really great racing here.
Triedler and Koontz remain the fastest guys on the track right now. Very impressive. One with tires, one without.
Dicesare making a move into Reinhard, Parabolica, heading down Parabolica side by side between the Porsche and the Ford.
I think he's got him here. He's got a little bit fresher tires, a little bit better carb from what we've seen there, and he's going to make the pass going in there.
So going into Spitzker, Dicesare is ahead. Move Dicesare back into the top 5. He is 32 seconds behind Eric Bergdorf. And don't look now, guys. Looking at our battle box there in the bottom right, James Triedler has caught these guys on those fresher tires. That gap has gone down from 15 seconds to 5.5 right now.
He is absolutely flying out here. I mean, his last lap was probably his worst lap of the last while. But, I mean, he has consistently been one of the fastest guys on the track. And the other guy, Koontz, just set his fastest lap of the race.
We got ourselves a dandy going on here if you're just now joining us. All kinds of stuff happening. And you see there on your screen, somebody went off. That's Tony or Dana Herron.
Dana Herron has been off a few times out here, really pushing that machine beyond the boundaries.
Yeah, he got over the curbs there on the apex and shot him out on the other end, on the other side of the track through the sand.
Wow, he really did get off the bumps there. He's been using the bumps very aggressively, and you can, as a lot of people say, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. They can help you, but if you hit him at the wrong time, you hit him too fast, you're turning the wheel, and all of a sudden you get launched off there, and that's exactly what happened to Dana Herron.
I'm interested too. He just hit pit road as well. He didn't hit anything in that wreck, but apparently he's done with these tires. He's in pit road right now.
That's going to be Blaine Allen ahead of him. His team did not put a new front clip on that machine, but he is only 2 seconds behind Mark Royce for 11th place, and Jari Brupascher just up the road. So we're going to have a battle for 10th here in a little bit.
Yeah, just to follow up on Lane. Lane said it is not affecting his car all that much, so they decided not to take the time to even address it. Just go with it, run with it. He's run the whole race with it. Might as well, why change it now? If he's used to it and still making time, he's just going to leave it alone.
Dean Luke Cantanaka and Pepto Joe Flanagan up here. They're battling for 8th place. Remember, Luke had a too fast exiting, had to come back in to pit road and serve that 40-second penalty. And he is trying to get himself back up there. He's running 3rd when that happened, all over the back of Flanagan.
Yeah, Tanaka is, he caused that problem for himself, and he's in, trouble here down in 9th. But look for him to move forward, or at least attempt to. Can he keep that thing under him is the question. The
Both
big
this
story I sort of bring up, that Koontz, man, is just blowing me away. Consistently faster than our leaders. He is closing in on our leaders. I mean, he is now within 6.5 seconds of them. So impressive what Koontz has done.
Bring up the time delta there in the bottom right-hand screen. You'll see it. Reinhard is the leading driver, so that gap of 5 laps ago was 11.5 seconds. It is down to 6.5 seconds, Birdie.
Yeah, he's definitely making a lot of time here. These guys are going to have to deal with him probably before this race is over. What I was going to say is those rainbow-colored cars, or those tropical cars, as you like to call them, both those guys are really fast, really making a lot of speed here later in this run. One guy,
Treadler
one guy
making
we're,
the pass there.
yeah, well, Tony's trying to come back on him here, so we're going to have a race through here.
We've seen it. Tony is not one to just lay over tonight. He has been battling hard, and Treadler going to make it happen. It's only a matter of time with those fresh tires, and Treadler did a great job going through the Mercedes arena.
Ooh, Tony's stepping out there. Get on that gas. Those old tires don't like it.
No, they do not. What a race tonight, man. This is something else. Wilkie and Reinhard still nose to tail. And I mean, they're actually nose to tail right now. And Koontz is still coming. I mean, all kinds of stories with Treadler, Dicesare. It just goes on and on.
Well, Jared, you mentioned something about the teammates and racing your teammates, this, that, and the other. If they're not having open communication at this point, and I'm leading the race, and I see my teammate just hanging out behind me, I'm worried. It bothers me now because I'm like, okay, is he just saving? Is he just riding there? Is he saving his stuff? Has he got more than he's showing? Because if you're just going to ride there, you're actually at an advantage. You're watching everything I'm doing, and you're able to pinpoint my weak point, my weak spot on the track, and make a move there. So while these guys are teammates, these wins really matter, and it wouldn't surprise me to see things get a little heated here at the end.
Reinhard has led the third most laps this year behind Dicesare and Koontz. And Dean, you know, Reinhard, we saw it last week. I mean, he was great, and Nick Dicesare just out strategized him at the end of that race. If you look at this TV camera down the front straightaway, that purple Porsche of Matt Koontz is getting bigger and bigger, as you talked about earlier.
Yeah, it's amazing what Koontz is doing. But let's talk about Reinhard. You did get outplayed last week. Did he learn anything, Jared? I think he might have. Watch for him to try and make a late entrance into pit road, get in 1 lap earlier than his teammate. I'm just having a thought. I don't know if he'll try it, but I think it's something he might have learned from last week.
Yeah, Matt's at about 6 seconds back from these guys now. Continues to eat in on that. I'll tell you one guy I'm impressed with is Eric Bergdorf, who started 8th. He's up to 4th too as well with that pit call. But yeah, we're gonna have another pit stop, so there's a lot more to come.
Yeah, Bergdorf 13 seconds behind Koontz, 30 seconds ahead of Dicesare. He's in a very racing sandwich. But the other thing, Dean, we talked about James Treadler. He is only 6 seconds behind Dicesare, and he is continuing to gain on Dicesare.
Treadler is just flying out here as well. I mean, him and Koontz are putting on a show. They just didn't have great starts to this race, but this all could come together. Bring back into Koontz into the picture, talking about that. He pitted at the 22-minute mark, Jared. We are now at 51 minutes, so he's run another half hour roughly. So he's looking to only do one more stop by the looks of it. So it was just a strategy call, and you gotta love it because he ran open track for about 20 minutes, a half hour, maybe longer, and it's proven that he's running lap after lap at record pace.
Boy, if that undercut at 22 minutes ends up being the winning move, you're going to see some people invest in pit strategy. So far this year, the very racing guys have, at least one of them have finished on the podium in all 3 races. The Hometown Heroes guys has finished on the podium in each of the first 3 races as well. So these are the 2 teams to beat out here tonight so far this season. Reinhard, the most laps led without a win yet. So he's wanting it, and he is all over the back of Wilkie. But Brody, you talked about earlier. If you're not communicating, you're not really sure what he's doing, all those things. But as the race leader, even though that you're the teammate and you're leading, and your teammate's not going to dump you or anything, doesn't it make you nervous having him right on your back bumper through these tight corners like this?
It can, because you can't make any mistakes. If you break a little early or something like that, and he gets into you, then not only you're going to ruin your night, but ruin both you guys' nights. So you have to be kind of cognizant of that as well when you're running with each other. Um, One of you guys need to win this race, and you sure don't want to be the one to take the other one out, or vice versa.
Brody, if you're the leader, Wilkie, it might be time to break out the fuzzy dice or something. Block that mirror so you can't even see him, and just have trust in your teammate.
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, Dean, you were talking about if you're riding right on the back of somebody, you know how it can kind of get into your head. You don't want to make a mistake, so you try a little bit harder, or you're a little safer, and it throws you off or something too. That's one thing you don't want to do is affect each other's race at this point, because you slow each other down, and Matt's going to catch you even faster. And last second he was 3/10 faster. Just the lap before that he was half a second faster than these guys. So it's kind of a matter of time. But I look for Matt maybe to pit here in the next 4 minutes or so. It keeps with his strategy, and then make it to the end. So we'll just kind of watch for that. See if he's the first one in again, just because he was the first one to pit the first time.
That gap down to under 5 seconds now, 4.8 seconds from Josh Wilkie down to Matt Koontz there. That car continued to make moves. While you were talking, James Triedler went off track. Nothing major there. Luke Antonaka went off track. It was major damage on that Porsche, and he has lost about 3 seconds to Joe Flanagan in 9th position there. Other battles going on around the track. Solari and Joe Flanagan now battling nose to tail. About a half a second between those two drivers. We also have Brewposher 4 seconds ahead of Royce, and Lane Allen also starting to catch those guys as well. Dana Herron probably has done his final pit stop. As you see, Solari goes off track. Flanagan goes around.
And Herron just set his fastest lap of the race as well, although he is in a very precarious position in 13th place.
One thing to keep, on top of everything we've been talking about and everything you have to be watching, the leaders are catching lap traffic, and so they're going to have to be dealing with that as well. They're catching Lane Allen here, and then Mark Royce, Gary Brewpacher are not far ahead of these guys.
Yeah, we bring up our track map just as you were talking about that, Birdie. So great segue in the 12th position. That's Lane Allen. He's gone off track. And
he blew up.
Car blew up. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, I could hear it. I was watching our leaders as you said they were coming up on lap traffic, and I could hear something happen. I switched to those guys you mentioned, Jared, and Lane Allen was in fact blown up.
So there you go. With that damage, it's no surprise. So Lane Allen likely going to drop to 13th here, and he has already been passed for 13th. So that's going to leave us with 12 drivers on the track right now. Dana Herron is the furthest back. He's about 34 seconds behind Mark Royce. But right now, you look at our track map, the next guy up for these leaders is Mark Royce. He is about 4.5 seconds ahead of these guys.
And Jared, I was gonna say Koontz last lap sub 137. This last lap after that, he said his best lap of the race 136.4. So man, is he coming!
All right, so let me ask you these guys. You have your teammate. We talked about the teammate being behind you. You don't know if they're communicating. I would assume they are, but we don't know that for sure. But now you look in your mirror, and all of a sudden that purple Porsche is getting closer and closer. Now as teammates, do you send one of your guys, maybe be like a kind of like, hey, let's hold this guy back a little bit? Any strategy there that you can use your teammate for, like kind of sacrificial to hold off Koontz, because he's coming?
From a team owner strictly standpoint, I would definitely be watching what Koontz does. When he pits, I'm sending another guy in there. And if we want to run the other guy along, so be it. But here's the problem you get into. Both these guys are racers, and both these guys want to win. So both of these guys are going to want to do the strategy that wins. So, yeah, from a team owner standpoint, yeah, certainly you want to look at trying to match what Koontz does and kind of make sure that one of your cars wins. But when you get race car drivers involved, it gets a little complicated.
4 seconds the gap between Wilkie and Koontz. First time tonight that Koontz has been that close. And Dean, we saw it at Red Bull Ring. He was dead last in that race for the entire first stint. And tonight he was in 7th place behind Eric Bergdahl, just kind of minding his time, it seemed like. And all of a sudden, he is now 3.9 seconds ahead, and these guys are catching lap traffic as well.
Well, I'd say that I've learned not to count out Koontz, but I probably said that last week. So I didn't learn, but here he is, man. It's so impressive to watch. And you talked about teammates. I don't know about holding him up, but there might be some communication from Reinhard going, I think I'm faster, let me go. I think I'm faster, let me go.
Yeah,
So you never know.
the second guy in line always thinks he's faster. It's always the way it works for some reason.
Yeah, and that,
Absolutely.
that's the thing. I mean, we're all oval racers at heart, and for those that watch sports car racing, especially the World Endurance Championship or Formula One, they got team managers, and they're telling the drivers what to do, and you have to do it or you get fired. But there's nobody on the pit wall telling you to do anything. It's Koontz's end.
Sorry about that, Jared. I thought he was off track, and at least he's in the pits. My heart
He was
dropped
off
there.
track. He went off the track getting on the pit road. We'll see if that's a penalty, but definitely got all the way in the grass there coming through there.
Boy, if
wow.
this penalty, or if there's no penalty, and he makes this strategy, I love the undercut, Dean. I've talked about it every race that we have an opportunity to call. I'm going to throw my cards on the undercut, but my goodness, this could be a huge, huge boon for Matt Koontz if he's able to make something happen here.
This is about when I expected Koontz to come in, though. It's like about 4 minutes when I said that. Yeah, about 2 minutes before the 30-minute mark is about what I expected. No tires, though.
20.9 on the pit stop there. I did watch the replay of Koontz, and he, in fact, had 2 full tires off on the grass there coming down pit lane. Obviously not a penalty, so he got away with it.
Boy, oh boy. And those Canadian cars, I just now noticed the Canadian flag on the side of those Hometown Heroes drivers. And my goodness, they were doing a great job. But Reinhard's starting to lose a little bit of time when they got around that lap traffic of Mark Royce there, and it's up to about 0.8 of a second now.
Jared, if you notice, they have both the Canadian and American flags, one on each side of the car. So not sure what that signifies. Maybe born in Canada, live in the U.S., or vice versa.
Well, they have two Canadians and an American on the team. So makes sense.
That's pretty awesome. I like to see it represented that way. Good job by these guys, but they got to be worried about this undercut. Enough talk about flags. These two, Koontz has already come in. We've seen what he's been able to do. This is a very important decision for our leaders.
Third place, Eric Bergdorf. He is in no man's land. He is in pits, though, in that number 88 Chevrolet. So he's bringing his Asphalt Motorsports driver into pit road, and he is about 20 seconds ahead of Matt Koontz. If he has a good pit stop, he could be right back in play for a podium position here, but he's going to have a really good one.
What I'm watching is one of our fastest guys on the track, the number 29, James Treadler. What he's going to end up doing, is he going to stop early? Is he going to stay out and go late? Because he is actually making time on Nick Dicesare there, and if he wants to get up in the top 5, he's going to have to play some strategy here.
Treadler stays out that lap, but he is going to pass Eric Bergdorf here. But he has been quick, and Dean, you talk about it, slow starter, James Treadler making his season debut here at the Sports Car Challenge, and maybe he just didn't get the track time he wanted in that Porsche this week, but it seems like as the race has gone on, he's figured something out, and my goodness, he's looking good.
He's looking great. And, speaking of figuring things out, we'll have to figure out your name, James, because we're all saying it a little different, I think. And we're doing our best, and we think you're doing a great job out there. Really competitive, Jared. I mean, he has the fastest lap of the race at 136.1. Prior to this last lap, he was close to a 136 again, definitely faster than our leaders. So he's laying some stuff down, and he's in the mix for a podium here.
Tony Solari. Tony Solari's in, but I'm a little concerned he may have a speeding penalty here.
So Solari on pit road. We'll have to keep an eye out on that. Other drivers that have pitted would be just, as we talked about, Matt Koontz and Eric Bergdorf.
I'm concerned. I want to see what Koontz's lap is here this lap, because this is a big lap for him. Cold tires, can't over push that car right now, but he's got to hit that 137 mark is what he'd be looking to try and hit. We'll see here as he comes across the line.
He did better than that. No, he hit it right on the nail. 137 flat.
Well, he heard me apparently. He tried to hit it exactly. That's a great lap for Koontz. Is exactly what he needed because this lap he's going to go faster. I mean, if he does not make any mistakes, it's going to be sub 137. And Reinhardt and Wilkie, in my opinion, are making a big mistake here. Unless they can have a sub 10-second pit stop, I don't know. They could be in trouble.
When you think about it, you look in the background of Matt Koontz there. That's Nick Dicesare. Nick Dicesare was in 3rd place, 4th place all night long. Speeding penalty has set him back, and his teammate has made both of his pit stops and still in front of him. That's got to be a little bit heartbreaking for the point leader here tonight. He may lose the point lead, in fact, heading out of this race. We'll have to find out. But Wilkie and Reinhard continue to lead. We got Koontz in 3rd. Dicesare currently in 4th. He has not pitted. Same with James Treadler. He has not pitted either. Bergdorf in 6th place. He's pitted. Joe Flanagan in 7th place. He has not pitted. Luke Hantanaka is in 8th place. Greenpasher and Royce, your top 10.
Very interesting. Wilkie and Reinhardt still riding around out here. And I think they've got a strategy, obviously, Brody. They know what they're doing. And quite frankly, I don't. So I'm not sure what they're doing, but I know that I've been wrong so many times that I have faith these guys have a plan and they're going to stick to it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. They're probably going to, at this point, they're going to run a little bit longer, take less fuel, maybe keep the car a little bit lighter, maybe be a little bit faster here on this last stint, maybe. May help out, but you're right. Matt Koontz is making time right now, so it's going to be really close and be interesting to see when these guys come out, where they come out.
James Treadler is in his Porsche. Eric Bergdorf goes by.
Flanagan comes in as well.
So there you go. That could be a big battle. Flanagan and Treadler could be a huge battle. Luke Hantanaka also in as well. So the two Proteus Autosport drivers in right now. Treadler and Hantanaka. Pepto Joe in 7th place in as well. Brewpasher goes by. A little surprised to see Jari having the race he's had. Up and down night. He was fast in Friday night practice, but tonight just hasn't had the handle on that Ferrari. But he plays it long, and you never know what can come out by playing it long like he's doing it tonight. But right up front, it's Wilkie and Reinhardt, still nose to tail. It's been that way since basically minute number 5.
Man, it has. These guys are incredible. And I just wonder, when is Reinhardt going to push the issue, or is he? Because of course, Koontz still in this mix.
We got some drivers on pit road that have taken tires. James Treadler, second time he's taken tires tonight.
I just got word from the pit road. Apparently, Joe Flanagan forgot to turn his tires off the first time. It's the reason he took tires for the first run, and the second time, unfortunately, he got caught speeding. So that's the deal with the 53 machine.
So 3rd place in points, man, having a night to forget here. And I did talk to him before the race, and he said he doesn't have a lot of experience on this track, and he's just trying to salvage something. But I think he was hoping better than 10th place, as he has shown right now. So tough break for Joe Flanagan, and I know Pepto Joe Jr. out there watching. You got to get out here, Junior. I mean, you're gonna have to get in the car eventually. But Pepto still having a good race, but definitely not the race he was looking for.
Our biggest mover right now is Jari Brewpasher, in 89. Currently running 6th, started 13th, started all the way in the back, and has worked his way up to 6th place right now. I know we are in the middle of pit stop, so that may change a little bit, but he's looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, up 7 spots, and so is Mark Royce, who has had a quiet night in his return to the series in that number 50 machine. Likely didn't get a lot of practice in, unfortunately, but Mark has been very solid when he has been able to race and get the laps in that he wants to get in. Very, very quick driver in these sports cars, and doing a great job. Dana Herron in 8th, James Treadler 9th, and Flanagan 10th with Hantanaka in 11th, Solari in 12th, and we got Lane Allen in the garage trying to get that car fixed. I don't know if they'll be able to, and Mike Watts officially out of the race.
Guys, I don't know what happened, but Matt Koontz actually lost a little bit of time that lap. he's dropped back just a little bit. So these guys either have picked it up or he's dropped off a little bit.
I've been watching, and he is consistently dropping off. He's now ran a 138 flat that last lap. The lap before that, he virtually matched our leaders with like a 137.5 around that area. So Koontz not doing what is necessary to get up here and win this. He'll get better here as the fuel load goes down, but I think he might have got too much fuel in that car with a 20-second stop compared to the 14-second stop he made on his first pit stop.
Well, I think that's the difference, right? I think that's the difference in his speed right now. He probably has a full tank of gas in order to go longer in the race because that first stop was pretty short. So I just have to wonder if he was playing that strategy, and he's going to have to wait for the fuel burn to go off because these guys, we got 23 and a half minutes, 22 and a half minutes here remaining in Hockenheim. And I got to say, I really don't know where this race is going to shake out yet.
I have to, and I can't help but to notice the similarities of a Red Bull versus Mercedes battle here with these guys, Hometown Heroes versus Very Racing. You know, you talked about those guys being on the podium so much here in this series. You're seeing a head-to-head battle with these teams that you can kind of compare to the F1 teams as well. It's pretty cool to see. I would say that Hometown Heroes be more in the Red Bull position versus the Mercedes, position being more like Very Racing at this point. But these guys are kind of taking it to the team that's won so many races this series and this season. It's kind of cool to see.
Yeah, it is. Very awesome racing here tonight at Hockenheim. This is the second to last European race of the year. We'll be in Le Mans 2 weeks from now in the final European leg of the season before heading back to North America to Montreal in Canada. But right now it is Wilkie and Reinhard. They are catching some lap traffic. That's Jari Brupascher in his Ferrari that is just ahead of him right now.
The other interesting note is Dicesare is now the fastest man on the track. Of course, we're going to switch it up as we go along here. We're getting down to almost 20 minutes to go.
Well, Brody, how does this complicate things? Matt Koontz has made both of his stops. Dicesare still has another stop, and I know you watch F1, so I don't want to spoil anything there. But what do you do in this situation if you're Matt Koontz? Do you let your teammate go? If you're Nick Dicesare, do you lay off?
Knowing that Nick's got to make another pit stop, Matt's probably thinking, just hang out back there. You're fine. Everything's good. But once he gets closer and closer, I don't think he's close enough to worry about it right now. Once he gets closer, though, you start having those thoughts. If you're the trailing car and you think you're faster, we talked about that already, then you would like to get let by. I'm faster than you. Let me by and I'll get out of your way. But Matt sees himself as fighting for a win. So he's not going to see it so easily as Nick would. So it could be a little complicated, but anytime you're dealing with race car drivers on the same team, it gets complicated.
And as that was going on, Pepto Joe's night continues to kind of go downhill. Let's take a look what happened to him. He is battling with Lucan Tanaka through the Mercedes arena, and side by side, great battle actually here for position. And they go through that, and Tanaka just tried to cut down underneath of him and actually rear-ended poor Joe. And so Joe's night continues to kind of drop back a little bit more.
And while that was going on, Dana Herron got around Triedler, oddly enough. I mean, these two both very fast cars. I'm not sure if maybe Herron was trying, or Triedler was trying to pass Herron and couldn't make it happen, or not.
Let's take a look at the replay here and show you guys exactly how this incident, or this battle went down. So they're going on the front straightaway. Triedler or Herron ran a little bit wide, actually may have gotten a slowdown penalty. So Triedler gets around him down into turn number 1, and we'll stay with this battle as this is the replay. Gets around him, and then Triedler goes wide. So they both swapped going wide, and Dana Herron finally wins out.
And now live, Herron just went wide.
I was just about to say, Herron went wide in the last corner and allowed Triedler to get back by. So these guys continue to switch out and back. And Pepto Joe's back out.
Back in the pits and back out of the pits for Derek Flanagan. Tony Solari is also out there in 12th position, but he had, I believe, a penalty for speeding, and he has been off. Nick Dicesare on pit road, and finally making his final stop with 19 minutes to go in the race.
Yeah, he's got to get in there. He's going to try and hold off Eric Bergdorf in fifth. It's going to be awful close here, whether he can do it. He's got to have a really incredibly fast stop. And Tony Solari, by the way, said his fastest lap of his race a lap or two ago.
Bergdorf actually going to get around Dicesare pretty easily. Dicesare going to clean out right now. So it's about a 7 second difference between Dicesare and Bergdorf.
Leaders in the pits, both of them.
And there comes the hometown heroes drivers. The Canadian leading the American in, Wilkie and Reinhard. A little contact on the first time around, not so much this time, as these guys heading into pit road and getting their service done. We have got to keep an eye on Matt Koontz. Let's bring up the track map here so you guys can see where the drivers are. Those faded out dots, those are your leaders. That green circle, they're going through the Mobile One Arena. That's Matt Koontz. So he is on turn number 10. Let's see what he can do here.
Yeah, I hate to break it to everybody, but I just don't think any shot for Koontz here. Depends on how long they sit here.
They're out.
Stop.
Boy,
It's good. It's short fuel fill, and they were able to make a lot of time there.
Wow, a lot of time is an understatement. Matt Koontz and his strategy, Dean, I don't think it's going to pay off for him, as he is well behind. 12 seconds. He came into the pits under 4 seconds.
Yeah, he just hasn't been the same since he come out. That higher fuel load, I mean, he ran a 1:37.1 last time. That's about the best lap he's laid down since exiting pit road. Maybe just off his fastest time since then. But he was virtually matching the leaders to getting beat by them at times. And they had a 12, 13 second stop. He had a 20 second stop. I mean, it's basically the entire difference from 4. He's down 6 seconds overall through the pit cycle.
I got to say, I'm pretty impressed with these guys when they pit. When they took the same amount of fuel, they came out right there together. I mean, it was perfectly choreographed. Those guys come right back out together with each other.
Wouldn't you like to be their team owner? Because it just looks like they work so well together.
I don't know. I'd like to be the team owner to about, now, 10 minutes ago, and then it gets a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah, they do a lot of endurance racing, participate in all the special events that iRacing has, participate in a lot of those races. And you see behind them, they got lap traffic they just got through, and you see the track map right now. So 1 and 2 basically right on top of each other. Matt Koontz just now getting out of the Mobile One Arena, and he's got to get away around 3 lap cars before he even has a chance to challenge for this race win. But right now, 15 minutes ago, it's a very, very low chance, I would think, guys.
I think James is showing us right now, James Schrader is showing us that he's got the speed of the leaders. He just didn't have the luck play his way. Had a few mistakes.
And just ahead of them, don't forget, Treadler, Heron, and Mark Royce, I guess, is not in this picture. But Treadler and Heron, they are catching 6th place Jari Brupascher. So the leaders, it's a little bit of a complicated situation here where they are battling for position at the same time while trying not to get in the way of the leader battle.
Incredible. Treadler, maybe the fastest guy on the track right now, and he's right in the mix with our leaders. And all of a sudden, Reinhardt's got to be thinking about his time to make a move. This is all culminating at the same time. Not great timing for William Reinhardt.
This is going to be interesting. At the same time, Koontz is not making any dents in our race lead. It's still 10 seconds back. Eric Bergdorf, 4.5 seconds ahead of Dicesare. That's going to be a battle we'll have to keep an eye on as this race goes on. Can Eric Bergdorf hold off Nick Dicesare here on this pit stop strategy here? And then obviously Brupascher, the last driver on the lead lap right now. He is only about 4.5 seconds ahead of our race leaders and about 3.5 seconds ahead of James Treadler for position. Oh, and somebody goes off. That is Dana Heron in the last corner.
Man, nothing new. Heron's been off several times. An up and down race for him. Very fast, but been off several times.
And he just stepped out a little bit too wide there, got the sand, and he goes around.
This track will bite you. It's a modern F1 track, so not a lot of green space. You do see it through the Parabolica section here, but a lot of runoff area, and if you run it too wide, all of a sudden you find yourself in the grass, in the sand traps. or off the track, and these guys battling hard. And this race as we are down to the final 15 minutes of the 90 minutes of Germany. It's been a quick race. It's been an exciting race as Wilkie and Reinhard have battled all race long, nose to tail. It reminds me of our second race of the year, the first race of the year at Watkins Glen between Dicesare and Koontz. Two teammates battled like this all race, and again, here we are in Germany, same situation.
It really is. It's almost identical situation, and I'm still waiting on Reinhard to get up there. You know, often when we think there's some kind of team play or strategy play in here, and Brody, maybe you can elaborate on this, there just isn't. Often the guy in second's doing everything he can. It just might look like they're playing nice.
Yeah, because at this point you don't want to throw it away. You don't want to do anything too risky to lose the opportunity to fight with the leader. So it gets a little more complicated in second because you want to push a little bit harder. You want to get up there, but you also don't want to take yourself out of position in case the leader does something. So there's a lot of mind games going on, you know, as far as that goes. You're thinking about a lot of things as you go along here. But right now, I mean, these guys, these two teammates have just, I mean, it's been an amazing race for those guys. They've been perfect the whole time and been up front and pacing the race.
Wilkie locks up going into Einhard. He's flashing at Jari Brupascher to get out of the way. Jari moves to the left there, or sorry, to the right, and he is going to let the race leaders go. But he's got to be a little bit prudent here because he wants to let the leaders go, get out of the way, but he doesn't want James Treadler to catch up to him. He's going to swing back in just in time to hold off Treadler into Spitzker.
Yeah, and that's how you get it done. Great job by Brupascher there, but he is going to have to deal with Treadler now. He's all over him.
Yeah, this is going to be a battle right here. This is going to be a tough one.
Swiss driver Jari Brupascher has everything he can handle in that Ferrari behind him. The California driver of James Treadler all over the back. And Treadler's been fast all night. Can he get it done? This is a battle for 6th place. Brupascher is in 9th in points, so this is big points night for him. That he can move up and gain some spots. Some drivers ahead of him either not here or have wrecked out of this race. So he can have an opportunity here. He wants to hold on to this position. Treadler looks inside in the Mercedes arena. Can't get it done there.
He's going to look inside again and again and again. He's been aggressive but clean. Treadler will take advantage of any mistake that Brupascher makes.
They're breaking here on these Porsches. Both these team cars has been astounding. It's been amazing getting in these corners. That's where he's going to probably try to make it happen. You're going to get through here and then probably try to make a run. Actually, may get a run here on the straight.
Brupascher runs wide. We look at the side there. Treadler can't make it happen there. Brupascher playing defensive. Here we go. Treadler on the inside trying to do the out and up.
Wow, through that section, so difficult. And you can see him swinging wide. He's on the grass. He's still going to try to come down here and make the move.
Down through the Parabolica into Spitzker. This has been the action zone all race long, and Treadler and Brupascher have been part of that action at times. Treadler under braking. Brupascher tried to do the undercut, lets him go, and he's going to get the run off the corner. Can't do it.
Wow, great move from Treadler there. Put him up to 6th.
The California driver up to 6th, the Swiss driver down to 7th, and the Canadian driver Dana Herron is in 8th right now. Luke Antonaka has made his way back to 9th, and Mark Royce has persevered tonight. He has struggled at the beginning of this race, but he is going to come out of here with the top 10 finish. So good job by Mark Royce in that asphalt racing machine. But back up front, Wilkie and Reinhard have cleared themselves of lap traffic. They have about a minute until they get to Dick Dicesare, so I don't think that's going to happen. So I think they are clear for the rest of the race.
Dicesare has caught Bergdorf, so we got a battle for 4th place here as well.
Looking out the back of Bergdorf in that beautiful Stars and Stripes car, and there is the pride of America, if you will, the Ford GTE that battled the Ferrari in the 1960s and won at Le Mans against it. Who's going to come out on top here? We're about to find out. Bergdorf has had these kind of races go this way for him. Been in 3rd, been in 4th, and ended up losing out at the very end. Can he do something a little bit different here tonight at Hockenheim?
Let's hope so. I mean, he's got tough competition, though. Points leader, Nick Dicesare, so hard. It's going to be incredibly difficult to hold him off here. We got another, 9 minutes, 8 minutes left in this race. doubt he can hold him off, but I mean, if anybody can do it, Bergdorf can.
I hate to be the rain man, but it looks like the weather's changing a little bit. It's gotten pretty cloudy. It's going to change track conditions just a little, and we'll see if it affects any of these guys up front.
Still showing partly cloudy, but the temperature has gone up to 73. Track temp to 102 as we jump on board Nick Dicesare, and he just cannot make that move there, but he is on the back bumper, and it's kind of like our race lead. We haven't left that battle by any means, but this is pretty much the same exact thing you would see up front, except these guys aren't teammates.
He's got to run. He's going to try to duck out here going into the, what is that, turn 3?
Spitzker, turn 6 there. So here we go.
Oh.
Nick Dicesare underneath Bergdorf, and Bergdorf's going to try to do the undercut here. He's going to get a run coming off that turn, going into the Mercedes arena. Can't quite do it, though.
Too much power from that Ford of Dicesare on that straightaway. Very hard to undercut that car. But a great move by Dicesare. He's had a nice recovery from his penalty. He locks him up there, almost giving that spot back.
Bergdorf, apologies. He is in 4th in points, but with Joe Flanagan having his night, he is looking to move up to 3rd place in points tonight. So this could be a big points night regardless for Bergdorf in that asphalt racing machine. But back up front, it is Wilkie and Reinhard. And shockingly enough, or maybe not shockingly, actually James Traylor has started to catch these guys up again.
Yeah, I mean, talk about the night that could have been for Treadler, sorry, whatever it is, James. And he is just running great. I mean, he's catching our leaders. He backed off, making a move there, fell off a bit, right back on him. He could be a race winner if everything broke his way at the start.
Yeah, exactly right. And, you know, it's difficult. You know, he did back off quite a bit once he got clear of Brewpasher. Trying to let these guys go, and then he's coming back down again. So it's kind of makes things a little bit difficult as the race goes on, because you don't want to interfere with the wind, but you also have your race to run. So it makes it very difficult to figure out what to do in these situations. But we are down, guys, to 6 minutes to go.
Yeah, and speaking of, you know, the guys and races and could have beens and all that, Koontz, he's not the same. I mean, he just had 10 seconds off the pace last lap. Not sure what happened there, but he ran a 1:48.1. But he has thrown in or put the white flag up for this victory. He just wants to hold on to 3rd at this point.
Guys, I have to wonder here. He pitted so early and maybe didn't take enough fuel. Could be the problem. He may be saving fuel at this point.
Yeah, I was about to say that, Barry, because I was looking through the track indicators in here, and he did not go off track at all, or anything happened there. So I don't know what, and you can hear him actually going through turn 1. He is lifting and coasting.
So strange, because he had a 14-second stop early in the race. He ran from the 22-minute mark to well into 50s, 54 or 55. So he ran over a half hour with a 14-second stop. He had a 20-second stop this time, and you're telling me he can't even run the same amount of time. Very strange what's been happening to Koontz on many levels tonight.
Mark Royce has had to come back into pit road, and at the same time that was going on, Dana Herron loops it in the last corner. So Dana Herron's up and down night and continuing to be that way.
He's lifting. He's lifting on the straights. He's left it in a lower gear here coming off the corner. He's definitely saving fuel.
Well, now you have to wonder, can Nick Dicesare salvage? I mean, he has gained an entire second just through this section of the track. You have to wonder. I mean, there's only 4 minutes left, but can he catch him up for a podium? Surely not.
Surely not, you say. So much has happened tonight, Jared. Who knows? I mean, did you even think Koontz would be in 3rd? He was in 13th place, pitting with the 20-minute marker. Never thought he'd be there. Dicesare could have had a win. He had a penalty. He's back. Who knows what's going to happen? Treadler might be the fastest guy in the track, but he's back here in 6th place. This has been a very odd race, very entertaining race.
You saw right there on the screen, Matt Koontz lets Luke Cantonaka go in that 0-2, so he is definitely saving fuel, Brody.
Yeah, it's you know, you say, can Nick catch him? Well, if Matt runs out of fuel, there's no question. But So it's just a matter of whether or not he's going to save enough fuel here, and if he's got enough space between him and Nick to save that much fuel, because they're only, what, 16 seconds, 17 seconds apart.
If he could bring up the gap, I mean, he's making up 7 seconds a lap, Jared.
Yeah, it read my mind, Dean. We bring up the lap chart there, and you see it. Nick Dicesare at 138.2, Bergdorf also a 138.3, Matt Koontz a 145.3. That is the slowest slowest non-contact lap of the race so far tonight.
Unreal what's happening with Koontz. I mean, what a night he has had, just all over the place. And Dicesare, what a job it would be for him to get up here and snag a podium.
While we're watching this, guys, Wilkie's kind of stepped it out on his teammate about 1.2 seconds out in front. Probably one of the bigger gaps that we've seen between these two guys all night.
1.5 across the line. So Wilkie maybe was holding it back just a little bit, Dean, because he has stepped it up. And now Reinhardt's got Treadler all over the back. And like we said earlier, Treadler dropped off these guys by 3.5 seconds and has caught them back up. So it's kind of a complicated situation. I don't think he's going to get involved there. It doesn't look like he is, but Reinhardt has dropped off significantly.
Yeah, I wonder how much of it is Wilkie just, knowing it's the end of the race and stepping out a bit, or is it Reinhard, who's been the follower all race long, hasn't dealt with the mirror, but now he's had Treadler in his mirror, could be bothering him some.
Check in on Matt Koontz across the line. Matt Koontz does a 143.4, or 143.5, apologies. So he did pick up the pace by a little bit, found 2 seconds there. And Nick Dicesare, 12 seconds back. We are about 90 seconds from the end of the race, so I think unless Koontz runs out of gas, awfully slow through the Parabolica section, but I think if he doesn't run out of gas, I think he's going to have a podium finish.
It's something to watch, I'll tell you.
Makes me wonder if he's teasing his teammate at this point.
Could be.
He's got to get down there and run some ethanol with Brewpasher.
Well, those guys have a unique, I don't know, level of
competitiveness.
No, that's not the vibe. The lost words tonight.
You and your words tonight. I don't know. We're gonna get you a dictionary out there.
Their sense of humor is what I was getting at. They have a unique sense of humor with each other, so it wouldn't surprise me.
I was watching Koontz there, Jared, and I know we're talking about fuel, and it's got to be fuel, but could he have wore the tires out to the point of blowing up? Because he looked awful weird through a couple of these corners.
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so, but that gap is down to 7 seconds, and we've seen Nick Dicesare pick up 7 seconds in one lap. My goodness, I mean, they're in the same zip code now, and so is Bergdorf.
30 seconds left here.
That car is very, very slow. I think we're on the white flag lap, if I'm not mistaken. This is the white flag. Yes, the white flag is out. So Nick Dicesare's got this lap to do it. He's 6 seconds back. Up front, Wilkie is up by 1.6 seconds over his teammate as those guys are going through the back half of the track, and we'll be taking the checker flag here in just a moment.
Yeah, what a job for Wilkie there tonight. I mean, he's had a great race. Both these guys have been up front, but Wilkie was able to kind of milk a little bit more out of it here when he needed it at the end of the race, get out to a little bit of a lead. Just had a spectacular race, so great job for him and for the team.
Coming through the Mobil 1 Arena, onto the front straightaway. Josh Wilkie, for the first time this season, is going to grab the victory here in Germany at Hockenheim, followed by his teammate William Reinhard. It's a 1-2 for Hometown Heroes Racing, and Josh Wilkie is going to grab the victory. Let's check in on Matt Koontz. It's 2 seconds to Nick Dicesare. He's going through. They are in the Mercedes arena, so they still have another arena to go through, Dean.
My goodness, a whole other arena, and Koontz is not looking good. I mean, can he hold him off? I mean, I don't think it's fuel at this point. There is something wrong with that car.
Here we go through the Mobil 1 Arena. Dicesare is there. This is a battle, a points battle and a championship implication battle here right now. Koontz trying to get the throttle down. At this point in time, if you have any gas in the tank, you just got to go for it. Oh. And he has gone wide. He's letting his teammate go at the very last corner. It's going to be Dicesare on the podium. Koontz is going to lose out at the end.
Wow. Wow.
With that, it makes me wonder if maybe that was more of a strategy call for points for Nick Dicesare. Interesting.
That's very
That
weird.
might be the case, Brody. And I don't know what I think about that. That's something you see with F1 and stuff. So, but I think that's maybe what we've been witnessing here.
I wouldn't think. I don't think so. I couldn't see that happening, but I don't know. That's very strange. But Bergdorf is going to grab 5th, Triebler 6th, Hantanaka 7th, Brewpasher 8th, Dana Herron 9th, and Joe Flanagan 10th. And a good race for a lot of drivers here tonight. But the eyes are on Josh Wilkie here tonight and William Reinhard for that matter.
Yeah, Jared, we gave a lot of time to Koontz, to Chesney, Triedler, Herron, a lot of other guys. But let's talk about Joshua Wilkie. 007, the secret agent man himself up here, taking home this victory. He put it all together tonight, man. What a marvelous drive from him. I mean, start to finish, near perfection out of Wilkie.
You see it there on the screens. These guys are making their way around. 5 drivers finished on the lead lap. Very excellent job by these guys up front. We also have Mark Royce. Couldn't quite catch up to Joe Flanagan at the end of the race, and he is going to finish 11th. Tony Solari in 12th. Lane Allen and Mike Watts with damage, and were unable to complete all the laps here tonight. And we're going to hear from these guys as soon as they get around to the front of this track, Dean. But you look at the championship battle after this race, unofficially. Now, the bonus points haven't been added in, but Nick Dicesare, 12-point lead over Matt Koontz. Joe Flanagan holds on to 3rd place unofficially by 1 point over Eric Bergdorf, but now he's only got a 2-point lead over William Reinhard. We got a battle on our hands for the championship.
Yeah, we got battles all over the board. You know, it's not just a championship that people are battling for, which there is a battle for that, but you got battle for 3rd and 4th. You got battles down here in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. I mean, wow, what a group there. So these guys are really going to go to war.
And Theo Taylor not here tonight. Neither was Darren Snyder, so they'll be getting some provisional points as well. So it will shake up things even more. There's your top 3 on the front stretch. And while we have a moment, we're going to just jump right into interviews here, as long as they are here, and they are here. So we're missing one, so we'll take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back to hear from our top 3 finishers. right, we are back live here at Hockenheimring, where Josh Wilkie holds off his teammate William Reinhard for the victory here tonight at the track. And Dean, what a race it was for these guys.
It's actually quite an incredible race. So many different things going on, so many different strategies. Some worked, some didn't, and some interesting stuff at the end of the race. And of course, Wilkie with a fantastic win. I mean, just really a great race, Jared.
Let's bring in our third place finisher, Nick Dicesare, the unofficial point leader, still after 3 rounds. Nick, or after 4 rounds, apologies. Nick, what a race you had, and we got to talk about the end of the race. What happened with your teammate there?
He was a little bit rough on the gearbox, guys. He couldn't shift at the end. It was very intermittent. I don't know what happened with his wheel or if it was the car itself. I'm not sure.
So a technical issue there. Yeah, it was very strange. It sounded like maybe he was running out of gas or something there, but I wasn't really sure what was going on. But either way, you were the beneficiary, grabbing a podium finish and extending your point lead. But we have to talk about the first pit stop of the night. Speeding catches you out.
Do we have to talk about that? I mean, you think I learned my lesson? This is what, the 4th or 5th one I've gotten. I don't like to follow rules. That's what I'm gonna go with. I definitely wasn't paying attention there on entry. I kind of lost where I was on the entry lane, and I blew it by a couple miles an hour. But that's all it takes. It's a 40-second penalty, no matter what. So that was pretty rough.
Yeah, and that 40 seconds. I mean, you ended up finishing, I believe, just a little bit outside of that realm. So I mean, you talk about your race. After that point, you were pretty much by yourself there at the end. You had a little bit of battle with Eric Bergdorf. That was at the time for 4th position. But otherwise, it was kind of a ho-hum night for you once that penalty happened.
Yeah, I knew the tires were going to be a little tight at the end. The track was pretty hot, and it was really wearing down the tires. I found that out in practice last night. So I was trying to take it easy on them in the beginning, and I just kind of got a little bit far back from Josh and William. And at the end, I think I was a little bit faster. I'm sure they were just cruising, but I would have loved to have not sped and actually had a shot at him, or had a shot to race Matt if his wheel didn't give out there.
Well, you talked about the beginning of that race. I mean, it was a 7-car battle for the lead there, kind of separated into a 4-car battle. Luke Antonaka there, William Reinhard, Josh Wilkie. Talk about how intense that early part of the first round of racing was there, the first 35 minutes of that race.
Yeah, it was close between all of us, and for me, when I started to fall back, was I had a lot of trouble getting the car stopped in the stadium section on that left-hander, and that's the same thing pretty much that I felt in Zandvoort earlier. I had trouble stopping the car, so I got to figure that out. Those are both high downforce tracks, so we got to have to look at see what we can do to minimize that. That's definitely where I was lacking.
Well, Nick unofficially coming out of here with about a 12 to 13 point lead, heading into Le Mans in 2 weeks. Are you excited about that race?
Yeah, I think the Ford should be pretty good there, especially on the first half of the track. A lot of straightaways there, and then the Porsche will definitely catch us up in the twisty parts there at the end of the lap. So I'm sure it'll be a good race again. I think it should be pretty even between all the cars. I know we're going to have minimum downforce, so that's going to be interesting. We haven't used that setup yet this season, but looking forward to it, yeah.
Well, Nick, congratulations grabbing that podium finish. I'm going to turn the floor over to you and let you have the last word.
Yeah, just want to say thanks to you guys again. Thanks to everybody who showed up tonight. It was a pretty good race from what I could tell. And I want to say thanks to my teammate. He tried his best, but he was stuck in 4th gear at the end there.
All right, Dean, that was our 3rd place finisher and point leader, Nick Dicesare. And I think you've caught up again with 2nd place finisher for the 2nd week in a row, Mr. William Reinhard.
Yeah, 2nd place, William Reinhard, number 64. What a great race for you, William. I mean, congratulations, first of all, on getting 2nd place.
Thank you, Dean.
Man, it was what an exciting race from our perspective. So much going on behind you guys, as well as the two of you. Now, let's just start kind of mid to late race there. A little strategy going on? Was there teamwork going on? Or was Wilkie just, you just couldn't really get there to make a move?
Yeah, there's just strategy going on. Kind of from the get-go, I knew we weren't going to do the same thing we did at the Red Bull Ring where we went 3 wide in T1. I knew that was off the plate from the get-go, and so it was pretty much just Wilkie, Josh. He could take the front, and if he made any mistakes, kind of like what happened in the race, then I'd move in front of him just so stuff moved along a little bit. And then he ended up in the front in the end, and that's just how it stayed.
Yeah, it did stay that way. And talk about that start there. That was just a wild little scenario there. I mean, I think you started for Wilkie started second, and Dicesare probably started on the pole. You had Koontz in there. There's a lot going on up front there in those first corners.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. It was just keep the car clean. Just if I can keep the car clean, I know I can get through the race with some good lap times. And once the field kind of gets a little bit more spacing, then you can kind of make some stuff happen. And I think it was going down the T2 there. Josh got the pass on Nick, and then Nick left the door a little bit open, and I managed to get him up there as well, and then kind of battle him into the hairpin after the straight.
Right. So we look at the race now. You guys are cruising along. You got this nice lead, 12, maybe more seconds at one point. I'm not sure, but Koontz is coming. I mean, we heard unfortunately he had a gearbox issue towards the end, but man, you guys communicate, you watch what's going on. I'm sure you've seen him coming. How was that affecting what you're doing? And were you getting highly concerned about the speed he was showing?
Yeah, coming out of that first pit there, we looked and we saw and we're like, hey, Kuntz is about 8 seconds behind us. We'll keep an eye on it. And we just noticed he was slowly kind of gaining on us, and kind of like looking at what we were expecting from the pits, we kind of realized he was probably going on a little splash and dash, kind of just short fuel and try and gain some time on us. And so it was just kind of trying to keep the gap a little bit even. I think we held it at the end there for uh, then they're right about 4 or 5 seconds in between us and Kuntz, and we just knew if we could hold them behind us at least, that we would be good coming out of the pits our next round, and everything kind of worked out. We managed to stay in front of him, but him kind of catching up to us, it definitely kind of was a little bit eye-opening, like, hey, we might have to worry about this. So me and Josh kind of kicked the pace for a couple laps, and then we realized that we were all good. And then once Kuntz pitted, then we were kind of good to kind of go on our own pace until we were gonna pit someone along the right along down the line.
Yeah, it's kind of what we noticed there. You guys, we were expecting you might make an adjustment to your strategy and come in to counter that move by Coons, but you stayed out. You got that short pit stop. You settled amongst yourselves. You got to be thrilled here to have 1-2 finish, man, and just really a beautiful, clean race for this team.
Yeah, it was a very good 1-2 finish. Me and Josh are really happy with it, and we're hoping to get some more points and really high finishes in the future.
All right, William. Well, congrats again, man. And the floor is yours. Anybody you want to shout out or thank?
Big shout out to Josh, big team player there. Me and him kind of worked everything out and got that 1-2 there. And then I'll give a shout out to my grandparents and my parents that I know are watching the broadcast as well.
All right, Jared. That's second place finisher, William Reinhard.
And I'm down here on the top step of the podium with Mr. Josh Wilkie. Josh, you finally get it done. You've been competitive in all the races so far, but you got the W next to your name tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Jared. Yeah, it's been pretty interesting season there. I missed the first one, had some computer issues and some other ones there. Last weekend had a spin or two, still managed to pull out a podium, but it's great to be up on the top step for sure. And William behind us, a great finish. So we're super happy.
Yeah, hometown heroes sweeping the top 2 steps of the podium tonight. But Josh, let's talk about the beginning of the race. Nick Dicesare wins the pole. You and William Reinhardt right behind him. You guys battling at the beginning of that race. Take us through how you managed to finally get around the Ford of Nick Dicesare.
Yeah, so coming into this race, I have pretty limited practice around here, and I actually set the fastest lap I've ever set in qualifying there, and then Nick beat me, so I knew I had to get out in front of him as quickly as I could. I had an inside on him, so I took it. managed to stay in front of him. I think I pushed him wide enough there. He locked it up or something, and Will was able to get by him too. Once we were there, it was just a matter of managing the tires and the track heating up and so on was really the only concern.
And then you guys continue on, and it looked like you guys had the strategy mapped out. You both pitted the same lap, both came out at the same time, but you guys were right on top of each other the entire race. Was there some strategy involved there? Was there some teammate strategy going on there? Did William know not to push you? Did you care if he pushed you? How was that working with that dichotomy there?
Yeah, so definitely a bit of strategy going on there. You know, me and Will are good buddies, and we want to see each other do well and so on. So, yeah, we were definitely talking to each other. You know, I was willing to let him by if he felt he had the speed and so on. So, yeah, we just tried to be as consistent as we could. And really the main thing was just trying to be consistent and keep our tires on, especially there once we saw Koontz catching up. We really knew we needed to save our tires for the end there if he was going to come back out with any speed like that.
Yeah, so, you know, taking a look at the second stint there, Matt Koontz, he pits early, 23 minutes into the race, goes long in the second stint. Unfortunately, had some technical issues at the end of the race that cost him a spot, but he was coming. He was gained on you guys, got down to under 4 seconds before he made his pit stop again. Did that change how you guys were approaching the track or how hard you were driving, or you're just going to let him kind of catch up to you if he had the chance to?
Yeah, so we definitely turned the jets on a bit there when we saw him coming. I just tried to see what I could get out of the car and the tires that I had left so I could at least gauge, you know, what this might be like after a pit. Of course, it also crossed my mind that he must have taken less fuel, meaning he's going to need a little more at the end, and we were probably going to get that back. So as long as we could stay in front of him before the last pit stop there, I felt like we were going to be fine, and we ended up doing that. And then, yeah, it's really a bummer to hear that he had some kind of a technical there because he definitely drove the wheels off tonight. So good job to Matt for sure.
Well, Josh, we're got a 2-week break. Again, we're back on a normal schedule. Going to be heading to the circuit, do 24-hour Le Mans. How excited are you to race that track?
Yeah, I mean, I love that track. We've never done minimum downforce there before in the Porsche, and it kind of freaks me out a little. This thing has, even tonight there, has a real pushy front end there that likes to understeer a lot. So there will definitely be some practice leading into that, but definitely looking forward to that track. Obviously, one of the best out there and always has good racing. So
the final race in the European leg of the season. But Josh, you move up to 6th place in points, 54 points out from Nick Dicesare, and you got plenty of races to go. So I think you're going to be a championship contender as this season goes on. But I'm going to turn the mic over to you, let you have the final word here tonight, and congratulations once again on your first win of the year.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jared. Thanks to you guys, Dean and Jared, and Full Throttle for putting these things on, and all the sponsors and everything involved. Obviously, it's a great little series to be a part of. We love the broadcasts and stuff, so excellent. We got some fires burning here in BC, so I'd like to throw out a big nod and a thumbs up to the people out there fighting those fires and those affected to it or by it. Thoughts and prayers are with them, obviously. And thanks a lot for putting her on tonight. Thanks a lot, Will. William did great tonight, and everybody else. So, yeah, looking forward to next week. Thanks, guys.
All right, Dean. That was our race winner, Josh Wilkie. Shouting out British Columbia there, having some issues with some wildfires up there. But what a race he had, and what a dominating performance by hometown heroes here at Hockenheim.
It really was, and we want to echo those sentiments and send our prayers out to all those people dealing wildfires up and down the west coast of North America. So hopefully everything's all right there. But Reinhard, what a race by him and Wilkie putting on a show up there, and just highly entertaining stuff up and down the lineup. Jared, these guys got to be proud of what they produced tonight.
Yeah, for sure. What a race. And we're going to have more of that racing action here on Full Throttle TV all next week. We'll start it off on Monday night, back with Full Throttle Sim Racing in their Dark Matter Designs Cup Series race. Those guys going to be at Kentucky Speedway, and only 5 more races until the playoffs start. So a lot of tensions are high. Tuesday night, we're going to be back with Kickin' Asphalt Cup Series. Those guys using the Next Gen Cup car. Very exciting. If you haven't watched the Next Gen Cup car, you got to check it out. I think it's very enjoyable, and it's been great. And then Wednesday night, back with Full Throttle Sim Racing in the Blackwater Products Truck Series at Watkins Glen. So we got a whole slate of action, and we hope you'll join us. But for tonight, for SimRacingPoints.com Sports Car Challenge, for Hard Dick's Top and Ale, for Asphalt Motorsports, for Dean Doucette, I'm Jared Carr. We will see you guys out on the track.